begin in Spain, because Vox may have won a foothold in Spanish politics last year, the first far-right party to do so in 40 years. But Spain's electoral board has a message for Vox. Not so fast. Now, less than a week after launching its election campaign, Vox has been banned from a televised election debate. The reason? It did not win enough support in the last national vote. Now, Vox has made headlines for its hardline stance on immigration and controversial views on gender violence. But after gaining seats in regional elections, polls suggest that it could win 10% of the vote later this month. Now, Vox's leader, Santiago Abascal, responded to the Electoral Board's decision on Twitter, saying it is clear who calls the shots still in Spain, the separatists, until April 28th, because a great victory for #LongLiveSpain will see those parties who wish to destroy our coexistence, constitution and homeland banned. All right, let's talk about this Vox having banned. I'll start with you, Ana Miranda, obviously, from Spain. The reason is because the Electoral Board found that it did not meet the criteria for it to participate in debate. Fair enough. But if we see the kind of support that it is gaining ground, don't you think that Vox should be given a chance to debate the other parties, considering the kind of dent it is making in politics, in local politics?
The question is that they don't have any MEP any group, any MEP in the Spanish Parliament. So they have any representation now in the state.
Yeah, but that is
so they
that
have
is the
only
law,
in the regionals. But the law, it depends on the participation. With the law don't, not with the proportional system. And at the moment, they don't have any representation.
Don't you think that this is true
only
for
in
all,
Andalusia?
Don't you think this is true for all parties that are just beginning, that are just starting?
It's a problem because the problem of Vox is that they are calling for hate. And we have a resolution in the European Parliament about the rise of the neo-fascism. So we need to protect also the democracy. These parties calling to the xenophobia. So for me, it's fair that they don't participate.
Okay.
But it depends after the votes. They have the right.
Because there are two things here, as we bring forth. I mean, there is the Electoral Board quoting an electoral criteria law, but at the same time, as I mentioned, how do small parties then that have impact, for even, let's say, okay, in Italy's case, like you're from the Five Star Movement, how do you break in then?
Well, I would say that this could be a big problem 20 years ago. But today, even if you don't have space in the television debate, because you have to respect the law. I mean, if the law in Spain says that you have to reach a threshold to participate to debate in the previous election, it's understandable that they are for the first time participating, so they don't have that space. But they can use the internet. In the internet, there is no quota, there is no limitation of space. Any small group can talk, can make itself
but let's look
visible
at this
by
from the
the
point of people who this plays into the hands of,
But this happened for anyone. I mean,
okay.
the first time,
for my party, for example.
the first time that we got in the parliament, we didn't have space in the television, but we arrived in the parliament because we used properly the internet, we used the squares, we used the rallies, we used the.
So is that the only way? So are you saying that small parties cannot debate the established parties until they have representation?
No, the small parties we can debate. I belong to a small party from Galicia. It's a left party defending the self-determination, a party with MEPs, with MPs in the Galician parliament. But at the moment, in the current moment, we don't have any representation in the Spanish parliament. So we cannot participate also in this big debate.
Sure.
Because for this, no. Also in the polls, they call us the others. Sure. Others.
Yeah, the others.
It's like
on the outside,
UFO,
right?
Outside. We are others.
Lots
we
of
have
regional
a lot of votes.
realities.
So the small realities and also the peripheral, also the right of nations.
Regional
yes,
parties.
national order. We say nations, no? So If we are not allowed, also because the law asks for a quota.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting because yes, you both raised the point that if this is the law, then okay, fine, it should be followed. But I think what's interesting to see is the optics of it, like how it appears, especially to people or to voters who the message of parties like Vox, for example, are really reaching. So that decision to exclude Vox from TV debates, it hasn't gone down well clearly amongst their supporters. Well, Alex and our team in the Cube have been looking at this side, I mean, the reaction of people to this decision. Alex?
Well, Tessa, it's been called by some censorship. It's been called a ban. A lot of words being thrown around. And look, we've kind of got used to, haven't we, through 2016 to today, headlines and political phrases chucked around. But nuance is much less exciting. However, bear with me, it is going to be key if we're understanding what is going on here. Now, first of all, this was going to be a five-leader showdown that was going to happen next Tuesday with Santiago Abascal of Vox being one of those leaders. It has now, while the debate might go ahead, Vox are not going to be part of that lineup. Santiago Abascal will not be present. And that is because of a petition filed by Coalición Canaria, which is a small party, to the Electoral Commission in the country, arguing, as other parties had, it was unfair that Vox got this kind of a platform on Antena 3, which is a big private television channel, when other parties weren't getting it. Now, what does this mean? Is this a ban on Vox? Is this censorship? Well, let's break it down. Let me just take you through it. Well, first of all, Euronews, our Spanish team, Marta and our Spanish team, have put together a really good explainer on this, also available in English as well, looking through the nuances. And it comes down to the law in the country. And that law is pretty clear, and it was defined in 2011. And quite simply, it sets a 5% threshold. If you want to get this kind of platform, well, you can. You just have to have won 5% of the votes in the equivalent previous election. That poll was 2016. And Vox, they won, according to the Commission anyway, 0.1% of the votes in that election. Now, there was the Andalusia of the elections where 10%, more than 10% went to Vox, and the Commission acknowledged that. They say, fine, but that is a regional vote. If this debate was regional, Vox more than was qualified to accept it. But it is about that nuance, that threshold that Vox haven't yet crossed, even if at this election things could change, as we've been hearing from the polls. How did it go down? Well, that's what you were asking me. Let's just say Vox fighting back, certainly on their social media accounts. You can see here today a lot of the language they're using about, representing the real Spain, the real voice of Spain, pushing back at, the insinuation of vested interests in the media being excluded from representing the views of, as they're presenting themselves, real Spanish people. Let's go on to what Mr. Abascal himself tweeted. He tweeted to say, we were going to continue this path despite, the kind of manipulation here, or this translation into English, harassment and censorship. What are ordinary or other people saying? Well, there are some saying that, yeah, this is time now to kind of turn off the TV debates. Not necessarily because there might be censorship, but because if everybody's not represented, it's not all that interesting. But then there are those, like this user here, who are very strongly believing that Vox have already had too much attention. Different view on this. Too much attention. He's saying, stop giving the party so much attention. Whether you include them or don't exclude them, we're all still talking about them. So, Tessa, as you can see, a heated debate. Is it a ban? No, it is much more nuanced than that.
Right, thank you for that to Alex and our team in the Cube. Anna Miranda, I'd like to ask then, when this fans the flames of anti-establishment sentiments among people, then how do you deal with that? How are you, a story like this, clearly you can talk about all the nuances, but at the same time, you can't stop how it will make people feel.
Yes, you cannot stop how the people feel, but they use also the networks, the social networks, to give a message that they are victims, and they are not victims. They call to the law, and the law is clear. Its electoral system has a quota, and they try to be the victims, but they are attacking the migrants, they are attacking the women, they are attacking the parties like my party or the other parties defending self-determination. They are attacking the left. They are attacking. So
I think what's interesting is you're nodding there, Ignacio, but your party is also considered anti-establishment in this sense. So it actually can ride the same wave of sentiment.
We don't have anything to do with Vox. I was
not. Sure. No, clearly.
I hope.
I'm talking about the anti-establishment sentiments of people.
Anti-establishment is one thing. Being on the extreme right is another thing. They are right. It's a right party. The point here is I totally agree with her when she says that this is the law, and the law it's the same for anyone.
What about sentiments of voters? Is what I'm asking,
it's something that they can use in the, to foster this sentiment of frustration against the establishment, against the law, against the system. But the system is the same for anyone. I mean, I can understand. But speaking about the real point, so the chance that Vox has to speak up, to make their points visible, they have the internet, and today anyone can speak and anyone can make visible their points and their programs through other way of communication, something that could be very difficult to do 20 years ago. But you still add the squares, you still
sounds like you're speaking from experience there. There you go.
All right. You are a politician.
You're always on the internet.
I didn't have the time to experience that because at that time I was at school, but okay.
Well, there you go.